All right, broski, I'm going to do a video on why Tristan Lee quit the carnivore diet, Renaissance periodization. Now I realized why he quit, because he's so small he's not growing because he reached an MND size limit. Now I understand he's not on drugs. I realize now this is his diet, a carnivore diet. He's simply ripped, but he's small, he's never growing. So yeah, that's about it. Even here it says better gains. There's no gains, zero. Look how tiny he is, like a little kid. So he may look good on camera and everything, you may be looking at him, but if you saw him in person, he's so tiny and his clothes are all small. Well, like extra small. He wears extra small shirts and pants and whatever. He's a tiny kid, but you'll find out why he's not growing and why he's changing his diet.
It was pretty much immediate changes within like literally 5 days of implementing.
Those two pictures are pretty fucking wild.
Pretty wild.
What were these immediate 5-day changes? I assume it was trend.
He's making jokes, trend. I assume it's trend. That's the 5 days, the 5-day difference. No, if you eat carbohydrates, you'll fill out. See how tiny he is? He's just a regular little kid. And the reason why? Because muscle reaches an MND size limit. If it's true, if muscle is going to gain mass, protein synthesis must exceed this breakdown. So why isn't Tristan Lee getting bigger if he's on a carnivore diet? Why is he so tiny? All of you say that you got to eat so much protein to build muscle. Why aren't any of you building muscles? Because muscle has a fucking MND size goddamn limit.
I've been doing low carbs since I was 13. My mom got into it for weight loss purposes, and my brothers tagged along. They were playing rugby and wrestling as well, which are obviously two sports that would also benefit from carbohydrates.
Go on.
Throughout the years, I just slowly got more and more strict with it, and then eventually progressed to carnivore just out of simplicity's sake. It was easiest to not have to cook my asparagus, zucchini, vegetables.
Yeah. The devil's foods. So you're 20 years old now.
I am.
And you've lifted weights for, I guess, 7 years at this point?
Yeah, 6.
That's a pretty long time as a teenager to be lifting weights, 7 years. I mean, this is a period where you could actually build some real muscle, but again, I told you, MND size reached the ceiling limit at age 15, and then it closes, and then you can't build any more myofibrillars.
7 years.
Because that equates to hyperplasia.
We're eating roughly.
A new fiber is created through cells. You understand me? That's hyperplasia. But if hyperplasia doesn't exist, right? Everybody says hyperplasia doesn't exist. Then how the fuck do you build muscle fibers? How do you get over MND size limit? So this little kid, what happened to him was this. So you come into the gym like everybody. You're a newbie gainer. You're a newbie untrained. First training, you get the satellite cell fusion. See that? Hyperplasia, satellite cell fusion. What is that? You're getting new fibers. See that? Hyperplasia? It's hypertrophy. Hyperplasia, hypertrophy. And then it atrophies. But you got some density there now. It's denser. Notice the left and the right? Yeah, man, at the bottom there. Detrain, retrain, at 0. When you detrain, retrain, why is that? Because it's protected by a bunch of things, by repeated bout effect, phenomena, and you become an endurance athlete now coming into the gym, so you get this type of growth, sarcoplasmic, but that is based on glycogen loading, and since he's not eating glycogen, he's eating a high protein diet. That doesn't bypass MND size limit, and so this is MND size limit. Myonuclear domain size tells you right here, reaches a ceiling limit, hypertrophic process beyond which extranuclei donated by satellite cell to support further muscle growth. So it's a 0. So I understand his dilemma.
We're eating
None of you dumb idiots out there do not understand his dilemma, but science explains exactly what the fuck happened, why he's not growing, and why he looks so ripped. He looks ripped because he's on a fucking carnivore diet. Alright? It has 0 sugar, carbs, and whatever. It's a high nutrient diet. And he's not endurance. He's not doing it. Yeah, you could call this endurance, but he's not loading any glycogen in there. You understand me? He's not eating any carbs as an endurance athlete. And so he's actually burning fat because this is thermogenic.
Roughly how much protein and fat per day?
So he's running off of like what, somewhat ketones. Man, he's eating a high-fat carnivore diet. So yeah.
having probably 225 to 240 fat and protein 1-to-1.
Wow.
I heard he started to eat carbs again because people were forcing him and telling him. Now I understand. I always thought he had a problem, anorexic, whatever he was doing there. I even had a suspicion because I didn't investigate, thought he was on drugs or something. He ain't on drugs, man. He's too small. He's so tiny. And drugs, steroids, do not build muscles. Because if steroids build muscles, why is he so fucking small, you idiots? Get it? If he's on steroids. Because steroids don't build muscles, man. Fuck, they're enhanced in performing fucking drugs. What part do fucking people not understand out there? They not speak English? Enhanced performing. Doesn't say muscle building. Fuck. So him being on a carnivore diet, why isn't he bypassing myonuclear domain size limit? I thought protein synthesis needs to exceed this breakdown to build muscle. So no matter how much he eats, he can't bypass. That's why he's complaining. He says in the video, I'm never growing.
The first quarter of 2021 was when I kind of hit a plateau. I was also extremely lean at that point. I started to get some twinges. I was getting a little bit stringy and just flat and depleted. That was after almost 2 years, essentially, of carnivore. So it wasn't
being lean.
I was like, I just felt off. I didn't feel 100%.
Did you feel that a part of you being lean was distinctly for the gram, so to speak?
A lot of people have asked me that. I don't think so, to be honest, because a lot of
See, the appearance of what you look like in a photo and being in person are two different things. I've seen a guy once in the gym. He looked so ripped like this because he was on I didn't know at the time, he was on a carnivore diet. He was getting more and more ripped, and the illusion of him looking, the look that he was exuding, people thought he was on drugs all of a sudden. But when he put his shirt on, he looked small, he disappeared. Yeah, man.
people on social media would tell me you don't need to be this lean. You'd look better with 10 to 12% body fat or whatever it is.
They're lying to him because they were jealous because of the way he looked in his photographs. See how tiny he is here? Look. He's just a kid.
I was training a lot, twice a day, 6-7 times a week. I wouldn't take a lot of rest days, and I'd be just trying to push loads heavy all the time. And there was no sort of progression with regards to my training, so I wasn't setting up a mesocycle to actually have an accumulation phase. It was just...
Why? You want to know why there was no progression? And he was on a pure carnivore diet, so he was bypassing, he was exceeding this synthesis breakdown. But here's the problem. It reaches an MND size limit. Bingo. It's not donating any more extra nuclei to that domain, broski. It is not donating. It is beyond. I think people just don't understand what beyond means. They just don't understand beyond, bro.
Actually have an accumulation phase. It was just...
And his training is pretty much what you would call endurance. It's chronic lifting. So that wouldn't... That's endurance training. He's chronically coming in doing something. The problem is he's not eating any carbs. So what would he be burning as energy? What are you burning as energy? Think about it. And what are you loading back as energy? Well, he's on a high-fat carnivore diet.
Let me see if I can PR this week, and that's...
Oh, yeah.
By the end of that, it became a guessing game of whether or not I was going to get hurt.
Did you deload ever during this time?
No. I took my first deload in like 3 years, like just the past few weeks. So I was at a breaking point in a sense where I was just like willing to try.
I could tell you this, now that he's going back on carbohydrates, this is what's going to happen to him if he keeps coming into the gym. If he goes on carbs, he's going to get... let me see if I can find it. This is going to happen to him. Volume resistance training in trained young men largely attributed to sarcoplasmic. And what is that? Glycogen. Glycogen concentrations increase there. So if he starts to introduce glycogen and he comes in doing what he's doing, he's going to blow up.
I was at a breaking point in a sense where I was just like willing to try whatever.
He'll look smooth. Depends on how much glycogen he's eating. I don't know. Depends on how much is breaking down and how much are you accumulating. If you accumulate more than you're breaking down, then you'll accumulate more of the sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. That is the whole point. That's why people say I'm carb cycling. They're carb cycling so they can grow these artificial muscles to look bigger. That's the whole point. That's why they do certain things.
Ever at that point?
Well, it's a lot of trust to have someone coach you.
For sure. Because I knew your guys' background, I was pretty much ready to hand it over, and I was pretty confident in what Jared was doing. So, and then because it was pretty much...
Now you know why Tristan Lee was never growing. He's never growing because MND size has a ceiling limit no matter how much protein you eat. This is just an example. It shows you from his experience what he's doing and eating, why he's not getting bigger. If protein builds muscle, why he ain't getting bigger. He should have been so huge, man. He should have been massive all over the place, like 20-inch guns and shit, even at his size.
Immediate changes within like literally 5 days of implementing.
Those two pictures are pretty fucking wild.
Pretty wild.
The full comparison.
So I was pretty confident after that point.
What were these immediate 5-day changes? I assume it was trenbolone, but I just learned from TikTok comments.
Oh yeah. Immediately I was just more full, so I wasn't as stringy, and I noticed my joints weren't as terrible. Jared wanted to slowly reintroduce carbs, so just rice and sweet potato.
Okay.
And I found
This is what happens when you eat carbohydrates. You start blowing up in the sarcoplasm. You start retaining glycogen.
my digestion's like perfect with those, so I've just continued to increase and implement those. On top of that, we added in pre, post.
I'm going to tell you right now, retaining glycogen in your muscle is unhealthy for you. So that's another reason why this sport is unhealthy, because people opt for glycogen loading. Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is not healthy. Man, you gain 20, 30, 40 pounds of glycogen in your muscle, bro, you're going to fucking breathe heavy. You're going to have a hard time moving around. It is an energy source. It definitely, enhances your performance. But at some point, by increasing it, 10, 20, 30, 40 times, carrying that fluid is crazy.
Intra.
In an intra shake, and basically the Gatorade was fine with you. A lot of times it's not.
Think about carrying around, what's his name? Larry Wheels put on 53 pounds of sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, right? Let's see Larry Wheels. So in 5 days, Larry Wheels himself, he put on 53 pounds at the Golden Griddle. Here he is. I gained 53 pounds in 5 days. He looks normal here after 1-2 weeks later. See that? He's not complaining. He looks huge. Where did it all go? Because it's sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. I gained 53 pounds at the Golden Griddle, bro. You think that's muscle he just gained here? Man, it's sarcoplasmic. But it is horrendously gross to carry 53 pounds of this fluid. It is nasty. And I have it in my community section. I put it in my community section. I posted it now. Hold on a second. Here we go. So there you go. It tells you these are the two types of hypertrophy. So you got sarcoplasmic and myofibrillar. There are two types. It's fake. It's fake. See, it's fluid. Sarcoplasmic, whatever. So yeah. So you can retain a lot of this shit in there.
Intra shake, and basically the Gatorade was fine with you. A lot of times it's not with some people, so he just kept using Gatorade, I think.
You went from roughly less than 10 grams of carbs a day, whatever's in the glycogen of the dead animal, and then to 275.
I dropped 4 pounds after
Calorie equated.
Calorie equated. He told
No
me
change in calories, but you added carbs, removed fats and proteins,
yes,
and you lost weight.
yeah.
That's odd.
He was like, "You're probably gonna go up like 10 pounds sometimes you could see a 10-pound jump with glycogen stores, all that different stuff, and I'm like, Jared, I lost 4 pounds. So it was cool to see the changes, and then I just continued filling out more and more and more. So it was essentially just getting leaner and more full, and now we're just continuing to increase. So it was about every 2 weeks we added in 10 grams of carbs per meal.
About 50 per day. So.
50 per day added. Okay. Tristan was so overreached, maybe even overtrained, with insufficient recovery and too much training, no periodization, and carbohydrates specifically, and enough calories also have this.
He's an endurance trainer, man. This is what happens to everybody. These lifting slaves, they become endurance trainers.
Huge parasympathetic response to your nervous system where they put you into recovery mode.
Right.
Which is, if you're overreached and you don't have those carbs in, you're kind of in permanent mini fight or flight mode, ultra high stress mode. And that ultra high stress mode is something that tends to, in many people, store a lot of body water.
Right.
But it's not the fun kind of body water. It's under the skin body water. It's not.
Yeah, for every gram of glycogen, 3 grams of water are drawn between the skin and muscle into the muscle.
Muscles, which is why you look stringy. This is something Jared and I have been through a bunch, but when he got to you, we didn't know that that was your state. Because there's a lot of people that do carnivore. They're at
And compound movements, I find.
I'm doing carnivore myself right now. I'm on pure carnivore the last 6 months. But I haven't been doing a lot of lifting either. I took a lot of time off. I had some problems in the summertime, this, that. I'm just so busy, and now I've been trying to come in once a week, going back to my old routines.
So it's just been progressively getting better and better. I do notice I'm getting more sore. So that was like one of the first things one of the main things that a lot of carnivore influencers or advocates preach is I don't get sore. I'm always alert. And it's like these two things that are supposedly seem good, right?
Yes.
And it's not necessarily a negative thing. I was just speaking
sore in the belly of the muscle.
Yes.
And in a way that recovers for your next workout.
For sure, yes.
Very interesting. We've tended to notice that people who eat a hypercaloric diet for the first time, add in calories, their joints start to feel great, but their muscles get really sore during training. But then, so it's kind of like if you're carnivore, you get a little sore and then you get a little not sore between workouts. When you're using carbs, you get really sore and then you really quickly heal and then it's time to hit it again. This seems to line up with sports science of stimulus.
Yeah, these sorenesses, they all come in different modalities, man. You know, being sore after a workout or a delayed soreness or something, you have to understand the cues, what your body's telling you. But people are not listening.
Recovery, adaptation, repeat.
Slow.
Anyway.
Let me tell you guys about the art.
Anyways, this was very interesting. I'll see you in the next one. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Tristan Lee, the reason why he's not building muscle. There you go. Carnivore diet. See you in the next one. If protein could build muscle, everybody would be big. See you later.